Welcome back to Philosophy Unpacked. Today we're diving into a really challenging chapter from Nietzsche's Zarathustra called The Pitiful, and it turns some common ideas on their head.
I'm ready for it. The title itself sounds provocative. Where does Zarathustra begin this exploration of pity in human nature?
He starts by addressing a criticism against him, that he walks among people as if they were just animals, but he rephrases it with a fascinating twist.
Okay, so how does he rephrase it? What's the distinction he's trying to make by changing that wording around?
He says the wise person walks among men as among animals, and specifically calls man the animal with red cheeks. It's a very striking image.
The animal with red cheeks? That sounds like he's referring to blushing. Is he suggesting that what separates humans is the capacity for shame?
Exactly that. He says, shame, shame, shame. That is the history of man. For Zarathustra, our entire development is deeply tied to this feeling of being ashamed.
That's a pretty bleak view of human history. So if shame is so central, how does he think a noble or good person should behave?
The noble person makes it a rule not to cause shame in others, especially in those who are already suffering. They practice a kind of respect for the dignity of the sufferer.
That makes sense. You wouldn't want to make someone who is already down feel even worse. It's about preserving their pride, I imagine.
Precisely. And this leads directly to his controversial critique of pity. He says he dislikes those who find happiness or a sense of bliss in their own pity.
That's a tough pill to swallow. We're often taught that feeling pity or compassion is a great virtue. Why does he see it so negatively?
He feels that this kind of pity is destitute of bashfulness. In other words, it lacks a sense of propriety and respect for the other person's position.
So it's almost like the person feeling pity is making it about their own good feelings rather than truly considering the person they are pitying.
You've got it. The act of pity can elevate the giver and, in the process, unintentionally humiliate the receiver, reminding them of their lowly position.
So how does Zarathustra suggest we should help people if not through this traditional sense of pity? Does he have an alternative approach?
He does. He says if he must be pitiful, he prefers to do it from a distance, without even being recognized. He wants to help without the person knowing who helped them.
That sounds like a way to avoid shaming the person in need. The help is given, but their pride remains completely intact because there's no helper to feel indebted to.
Exactly. He would rather just flee before being recognized. It's all about removing the social transaction of pity that can be so damaging.
It seems he's very concerned with the psychological impact of receiving help. What other insights does he offer on this?
He makes a radical claim that he did better for people when he learned to enjoy himself more, rather than focusing only on the afflicted.
Wait, so enjoying your own life is a better way to help others? That seems completely counterintuitive. How does he justify that idea?
He argues that humanity's original sin is that we have enjoyed ourselves too little. When we learn how to be truly joyful, we stop wanting to cause pain to others.
So a genuinely happy and fulfilled person has no need to inflict pain or derive a sense of superiority from another's suffering. Joy becomes a source of goodness.
Yes, and he even says that after helping someone, he feels the need to wash his hand and wipe his soul because the act itself is so complicated.
Why would he feel the need to do that? Is it because, as he said, seeing the sufferer suffer made him ashamed on their behalf?
That's the core of it. He felt that in the act of helping, he sorely did wound his pride. The interaction is fraught with shame and a power imbalance.
This ties into how people react to receiving help, doesn't it? I've heard that sometimes people can resent those who help them the most.
He puts it very bluntly. Great obligations do not make grateful, but revengeful. A large, unpayable debt can fester into resentment rather than thankfulness.
And even a small kindness, if it's not forgotten, can become a growling worm. It's a constant reminder of one's own neediness, which must be incredibly frustrating.
This is why he advises those who have nothing to give to be shy in accepting. It's a way to protect one's spirit from that growling worm of obligation.
So his ideal way of giving is almost anonymous, like letting strangers pluck fruit from his tree. The gift is there, but there's no direct, shame-inducing transaction.
Precisely. Now he shifts gears a bit to talk about a related idea, the difference between petty thoughts and genuinely evil deeds.
This should be interesting. I think most people would agree that an evil action is far worse than just a negative thought. What's his take?
He argues the opposite. He says, verily, better to have done evilly than to have thought pettily. He believes petty thoughts are far more corrosive.
That is a very radical statement. How could a hidden, petty thought possibly be worse than a harmful action that affects others?
He uses a powerful analogy. An evil deed is like a boil. It's ugly, it hurts, and it breaks forth, but it's honest. It declares itself as a disease.
Okay, so the evil deed is out in the open. It's clear what it is. It's an honest ugliness. What about the petty thought then?
The petty thought is like a hidden infection. It creeps and hides, and you don't even know it's there until it has rotted the entire body from the inside out.
So it's about the corruption of the soul. An evil action is an event, but a life of petty thoughts, like envy, resentment, and spite, decays your entire character.
You've articulated it perfectly. It's this hidden, creeping decay that he sees as the ultimate danger, far more than a single honest act of evil.
This really changes how you might think about morality. It's not just about a checklist of good or bad deeds, but about the health of your inner world.
That's right. And this leads to how we should treat a friend who is suffering. He says we should not be a soft cushion of pity for them.
So we shouldn't just say, there, you poor thing. What does he suggest instead, if not that kind of soft comfort?
He says to be a resting place for his suffering, like a hard bed, however, a camp bed. In other words, be functional, strong, and supportive, not smothering.
A camp bed isn't luxurious, but it's reliable and it does the job. It gives you a solid place to rest and recover so you can get back up again.
That's the idea. It's about providing real, functional support that empowers them, rather than a pity that keeps them weak and dependent on your sympathy.
This all seems to be building towards a new definition of love, one that is very different from simple pity or forgiveness.
It is. He says all great love is above pity. In fact, he offers a startling conclusion about the destructive nature of pity.
I'm almost afraid to ask, given how intense his other ideas are. What is his final warning against pity?
He quotes the devil saying, God is dead. Of his pity for man hath God died. He's suggesting that pity, in its purest form, is so overwhelming it can destroy even God.
Wow. So an all-encompassing pity for humanity's endless suffering is not a divine virtue, but a fatal flaw. It's a love that consumes itself.
Exactly. So what is the alternative? He says, all great love is above all its pity, for it seeketh to create what is loved.
To create what is loved. So it's not about passively feeling sorry for someone, but actively helping them become the best version of themselves.
That's the heart of it. A creator doesn't just pity a block of marble for not being a statue. They take up a hammer and chisel. That is why he says all creators are hard.
They have to be. This kind of great love requires strength, vision, and the willingness to push someone, which can sometimes feel uncomfortable, but it's for their growth.
It's a love that serves the potential of the other person, not our own need to feel virtuous.
So to recap, Zarathustra is asking us to move beyond a self-serving, shame-inducing pity and towards a hard, creative love that fosters strength in others.
That is the profound and challenging message. It redefines helping not as an act of charity, but as an act of creation.